Huge congratulations if you are still with me, because we really now have reached the last major part of Shopify. You know, we've been through everything. We've had a really good look at an enormous amount of the functionality of Shopify. And as I've said several times during the course, I really hope you're now brimming with confidence and excitement as to what the future might bring with all this newfound knowledge that you now have. So the thing we're now going to look at are apps. Okay, so before I delve into it, the first question we need to answer is, what is an app? All right, and you've probably heard of an app, but maybe not so much in the context of Shopify. So I always describe it, you know, in the context of a phone, a smartphone. I think most of the people doing this course will have a smartphone, I imagine. But you know, when you buy your phone, it's got limited functionality, and then you'll go to the iTunes store or to the Play Store, whatever it is, and you'll download apps in order to increase the functionality of your phone, right? Some of them are paying and some of them are free. It's exactly the same concept here, all right? So we've got Shopify out of the box, if you like. Everything we've looked at is everything that we get with Shopify when we sign up. But now we have the opportunity to install apps which are going to increase the functionality of our store dramatically. And you know, as the expression goes, there's an app for that, right? There's almost like an app for everything, it would seem. Now, there's not the millions of apps that you're going to find for mobile phones, but there's over 1,400 apps currently with Shopify. Some of them free and some of them paying. So, you know, let's just click on apps here just for the moment. It's recommending some apps here. Let's just ignore those, all right? But the thing I want to take you to is the store. So if I click on that, it takes me straight to the App Store, all right? And this is where I'm going to be able to search, and we'll be using this in the coming lectures. This is where I'm going to be able to search and find the apps that I want to install onto my store. It's all very point and click, very, very simple. Now, with 1,400 apps, right, the big question is, what on earth am I supposed to install? What on earth am I supposed to actually use? Well, good news. You know, that's why one of the main reasons why I put this course together was to give you that knowledge, all right? And in the coming lectures, if you look ahead, I mean, don't jump ahead, but if you look at the number of lectures coming up, you'll see there are many, many on apps, all right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a whole series of apps and basically just show you the ones that you should consider, show you the ones that you might need, that are really going to have a big impact on your store. Okay, so I'm going to fast track you through the whole process so you don't have to waste hours and hours and hours. Now, in order to make that process as clear as possible, I've organized the apps into sort of certain groups, if you like. If you look ahead there, you'll see I've got apps part 1, apps part 2, this kind of thing. And in the next lecture, I'll explain why I've done that, and I hope it makes it really, really clear for you going forward. Okay, as I just said in the previous lecture, I've organized apps into certain sections so that you get the absolute most out of this part of the course. So let's have a look and see what those sections are going to be. So part 1 are the health checkers, all right? This is the health of your store. And basically what I'm talking about is having a store that loads fast, right? That we have a good backup for, that can be found by the search engines. All of these things indicate a store in good health, all right? Many people don't even consider this. They go straight for the good stuff, you know, how do I increase my sales, this kind of stuff. And then they find out that 6 months later through, you know, a backdoor route that their site is not loading fast. And in fact, many people are leaving for whatever reason. So I'm going to show you some great apps that you can use on a regular basis just to make sure that your store is functioning as you would expect it to. So now that we have a store that's in great health, what we want to make sure now is that we are working as efficiently as possible. So part 2, I call the productivity boosters, all right? And these are apps that can help us with certain aspects of our business, like for example, order fulfillment or loading products onto our site or tracking products after they've been shipped. All kinds of things we can do to improve the efficiency of how we work. Now, part 3 is customer service. Again, something that's often overlooked in my opinion. So I'm going to show you some apps at all kinds of different levels where you can basically improve customer service very, very quickly or take it to a whole new level. Now, part 4 is what I call on the product page, okay? Apps that we can use on the product page to basically get people to convert, right? To put them into the cart. And this is often where people start, all right? They come straight into this bit. But I've got some great apps for you that are going to get people adding stuff to the cart and ultimately heading to the checkout, which is then what part 5 is about, all right? Because once we've got somebody to check out, we still have a lot of work to do to push them over the finish line, right? To part with their hard-earned cash and buy products from you. So there are some great apps, some very ingenious apps that we can use to get people to make those final purchases. But of course, not everybody will purchase, which is what the final part is all about, retargeting. Now, bringing people back to your store once they've left without purchasing. Retargeting is a massive area. And I've got some great apps for you that are going to allow you to do retargeting in a very efficient manner. So before we dive into these many apps, I do want to make it absolutely clear that apps are not a silver bullet, okay? Just because you put these various apps on, I guarantee you're going to get excited about some of them. It doesn't mean you're suddenly going to start making sales. You have to have a great store, a great basis, a great product. You have to target your customers properly in order to bring them to the store to buy. Now, what apps will do is if you have that in place, they will definitely help you with your conversions. But just applying an app to a store that's not functioning is very unlikely to turn it into something that's incredible. The other thing I want you to bear in mind is that some of these apps are free and some of these apps are paying, and you'll see that if you took them all, you might be looking at a substantial monthly fee. So what I want you to do is to not get too bogged down in the pricing. I want you to understand what these apps can do, and then I want you to think about how it could grow with your store or somebody else's store if that's what you're doing, right? So in the beginning, when you're making no money, you want to pick those free apps, the ones that are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. But as you grow, as the store grows, then you'll be able to afford to use more expensive apps, and that whole self-fulfilling process will kick into place. So in other words, as you put on a better app, you make more sales, therefore you can afford better apps, and so on. All right, so you grow. The apps are going to grow with your business. It's not about buying all these apps on day one and installing them all. And lastly, the apps I'm going to show you here are suggestions. The ones I use, the ones I feel do extremely well for me and others. But there are many out there. Yeah, you're going to see on the App Store that just by searching for certain keywords, you can find many apps that will do the same thing. And what I totally encourage you to do is once you've finished all of these parts and you've got a good appreciation for what apps can do, take a step back, take a few days even, and have a really good deep dive into the Shopify App Store and see what you can find that you might prefer to apply to your store. Okay, so let's crack on to part 1. So let's get into the first of the health checker apps, which is Backup. Now you might be thinking, why is Backup part of a health check, as I like to call it, all right? So basically, if you think about it, your store is professionally backed up on the Shopify servers, but you just never know, right? You just never know what could possibly happen. I've had, and anybody who's been doing this for as long as me will have had some sort of catastrophic experience at some point, and I have as well, and I will never forget it, and therefore backup and recovery is super important. Now, in my case, I had proper backup and recovery in place, so it really wasn't that painful. But I know plenty of stories, and possibly you do too, of people losing everything, even when things were supposedly backed up professionally. So it's, I think, very good advice to say, get your stuff backed up away from Shopify. Nothing wrong with Shopify at all, but I just think as an extra level of insurance for a very small price, it's an extremely good thing to do. So let's head over to the App Store. Now, as this is kind of our first visit, let's just have a look at a couple of things to do with this. Very straightforward, okay? We can search, which we're going to do in a minute. We've got ways to sort through stuff, okay? This is very simple. So, with Backup, if I just type in Backup and hit Return, it proposes me all kinds of backup apps, right? There are a bunch there, okay? Now, the one I'm going to take is called Rewind, okay? Because I've experienced this and I recommend it to many people. So when you click on this, as with any app, you get the summary page, all right? There's almost always an accompanying video that will take you through it and talk you through the features. And there's the pricing. Now, just be careful, okay? Often they'll quote free, effectively, $0 per month. But when you get into it in a bit more detail, you will discover, for example, here that the free trial is only 7 days. And if you go to their site, you can find out more about the pricing, all right? So just be careful when you install these things. They're super, super easy to install, but eventually you might end up paying. So make sure you do a bit of research each time to be sure how much this is going to cost you. So let's just imagine that we want to take this, okay? If you take my word for it, this is a great way to back up your store and get it off Shopify onto the Rewind servers, okay? So in the event of a disaster, you would go to Rewind and to reestablish your store. So as with all of these apps, we just click on Get. And it will prompt you. You're about to install Rewind backups for Shopify, okay? So it tells you what it's going to be able to access, etc. Click on Install App. And when the page refreshes, you get presented with a series of plans, all right? So if you're going to go for this, and it's entirely optional, yeah, really all I'm saying is that you should have some sort of external backup in place. But $5 a month is going to give you a daily backup, which is obviously going to be automated. And then the items themselves will be saved for 7 days. So you can always go back to previous backups to extract stuff, which is pretty standard procedure, right? Up to 10,000 products, up to an average of 100 orders per month. So to get started with like that would be absolutely fine. You may then want to upgrade to premium as you grow, and maybe to $39 a month eventually when you're all done and your store's fully built out. But there you go. That's the first app that I recommend, okay? Just get your store backed up somewhere away from Shopify so that you can sleep very well at night. Okay, so before we get into the second health checker app, I've just clicked on my apps page here just to show you that it's now showing that I have one installed app, the Rewind app, right? And that I can basically delete it should I need to at any time. Of course, if I click on this, I can also edit my settings and everything. So that's how the apps are managed within Shopify. Very, very straightforward. So let's head over to the App Store. And what I'm going to look at this time is an app called Plugin SEO, all right? And this app is going to basically tell us whether there are any SEO problems with our site, okay? So if you don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization, which basically means how easily it is found within Google. Now, this is a massive subject, all right? And you'll see with this app that it'll tell you things that are potentially wrong with your store, and that you're either going to have to fix them yourself, okay, if you have that knowledge, or you can perhaps use one of their experts, or you can take it to somebody else to fix, or whatever it might be. But the point is, you do need to know whether there are any SEO issues with your store, and for free, this will tell you, all right? So fixing them is a slightly different story, but at least you know there's something wrong for free, or maybe there's nothing wrong for free. So this is just something you want to run periodically just to see if there's any major issues. So if I type in here into the search bar, plugin SEO, comes up straight away. I click on it and I'm going to go and get it. Now this one is free, just as I just said, it's free forever. There's an optional upgrade to SEO Plus, and as I just said as well, you get the opportunity, of course, to use their experts to potentially fix your site. But for free, this is a great tool, okay? So click on Get and then install it. And this time we're taken to the Plugin SEO app page, right? So you can see here your checks, all right? Checks for problems, get advice, SEO problems, we can check for speed, and we can check for stuff related to our blog. So these two here really are the ones we want to be looking at right now, okay? Now, if I click on SEO problems, what I want it to do as well is to check the right site. So you see here it's still checking on my subdomain, my old Shopify subdomain. So I'm going to edit this and I'm going to put in here dogadora2.com and just click on check again. Right, now I draw your attention to these headings here, okay? So we've got heading, page title, images, file names, internal links, etc., etc. Some of them have got ticks. In fact, most of them have got ticks, so good health, right? And a couple of them have got exclamation marks. Now, this doesn't mean by any stretch there's something catastrophic with your site. Typically, it just means there's some improvements you can make, okay, suggestions. And this is exactly what's going on here. So with the heading, it's suggesting there's more than one H tag on this page, okay, H1 tag on this page. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. This is not catastrophic. It's just a nice health check to see if there really is something wrong. And should you want to fix it, of course, as I said before, you can either do it yourself, learn to do this kind of stuff. Maybe you've got knowledge of that already. Some people doing this course will certainly have knowledge of SEO, I'm absolutely certain. Others will have no clue at all. But SEO being such a huge industry, you could take this report very easily to an SEO specialist. And I'm scrolling down here because towards the bottom here, we get a Get It Fixed button, right? And if I click on that, then of course I'm taken to the more expensive packages where I can fix my SEO problems for my Shopify store. Now, just as a general comment, in the beginning, you really don't need to worry about this, okay? But as you build out your store, getting ranked in those search engines will become important to you. It also depends, of course, on your whole strategy for driving traffic to your store. With the drop shipping models that I talk about, we do a lot of Facebook advertising, so SEO is less important. But the whole point of this app and the whole point of this lecture is to show you that for free, you can do a very nice, quick SEO health check on your store. And should you need to, it's very easy to pass it over to a specialist to take action. So before we install the next app, I want to make it perfectly clear that the apps that I'm showing you here are apps that I've had experience with. They're apps that I recommend, but there are many others. All right, this is my pick. This is my pick of my crop, based on a lot of experience. But don't just blindly necessarily follow exactly what I'm doing here. Have a look around. For example, with that SEO one, there are many SEO apps, and you might find something that suits you better, right? So, I encourage you to explore the store as much as possible and do your own research and come up with your own ideas. But what the whole point of all this series of lectures about apps is to give you a fantastic start, all right? But it's not exactly the definitive guide. You must do this. That's not it. That's not what it is at all. Okay. So let's have a look at the next one that I rather like, which is called alt text. So let's go to the Shopify store. Right, now what this does is, if you're not aware, images, if an image doesn't show, this is a really old website thing, but basically if images don't load on your site, there's a thing that used to be called an alternative text, right? Something that would describe the image. Back in the old days, it doesn't really happen so much more now, but it is important for search engines because search engines can't really read images in the same way. So if you've got a product, a dog collar, and you have an alt text associated with it, a text that describes the image that says dog collar. I mean, that's a really bad example, but you can imagine that for a search engine that's easier, and therefore your images, your product images, will show up more in the Google image search, right? So more free traffic potentially. So this has got a little price associated with it, $1.99 a month. So I'm going to go and get it. So when this loads, it pulls out an image from my store, this LED collar that is on my store, and it wants to propose me an image alt text, all right? Some sort of alt text that is best optimized for the search engines, okay? And if I click on optimize here, it's going to prompt me for the $1.99 that it wants per month from me in order for it to optimize my images. Now, I think that that's a good investment, okay? Because, as I say, you can get some nice free traffic through Google Images, and this will just optimize it for you. You can spend, if you go down this route, you can spend hours and hours and hours, days, trying to come up with great names, alternative names for your images, which will drive you slightly mad, okay? Whereas this will just optimize them for you in one click and you are done. All right, so that's alt text. Should you want to optimize your images to be found in the Google search, this is a great solution. Now for this next one, I want to talk about page load speed, all right, which is something that often people forget about, all right? They don't think about it. They do an awful lot of work on the store, huge amount of times involved, often quite a bit of an expense. And then unbeknown to them, their site is loading slowly, okay? And slowly can mean like 2 or 3 seconds. And if it takes too long to load, people will disappear. We've all been to websites that, when we click on the thing, it doesn't load, we disappear. It's impatient. That's just how we are now. So your site needs to load super, super quickly. Now, you probably saw inside of Plugin SEO that we had the opportunity to do that within that app, all right? But it may be that you don't want that app, right? You don't want all that other stuff for whatever reason. You just don't like it. I don't know. It could be for whatever reason. So this is to sort of get you thinking a little bit more out of the box and to realize that there are other solutions out there. Now, the one that I'm going to show you is called Pingdom, right? As I said before, this is not an app. This is a site that's been around for ages, and it's super, super useful. I really, really encourage you to use it. So let's go over there now. So I'm on tools.pingdom.com, all right? And all I need to do is to put in my site name, so dogadora2.com. And then what's cool is I can test it from different places, all right? So let's imagine that my customer base was primarily in the USA rather than Australia or Sweden. So I just check on this and click on Start the Test. Okay, and after a very short period of time, I get some results, okay? So here's my site. Now I get a performance grade. My load time, that's the first thing I'm going to look at, right? My load time is 3.6 seconds. That's not bad. I should click on this a few times because you'll find that each time it's slightly different. 3.6 seconds, it's not amazing, but it's not bad, okay? And one of the obvious things that causes sites to slow down, without having to go to any sort of specialist or go into any detail, is to reduce the size of your images, okay? Particularly on home pages, people get carried away. You remember when I was talking about the homepage slider and I said, don't go crazy with the images. This is what I'm talking about right now. People put in 20 images and it looks amazing, but it takes half an hour to load and nobody actually wants to go to your site as a result, okay, especially on mobile. So bear that in mind, please. That's a really important takeaway point. I'm faster than 45% of tested sites. Okay, fair enough. It's not bad. Now, as I go down, I get some far more detailed information. And again, if I didn't understand this, I could pass this to a specialist and say, okay, this is what's wrong with my site. Please give me a quote to fix it or whatever. So there we go, a really nice, simple, completely free way of basically testing your sites to check that speed. Now, I strongly recommend that you come to this site, periodically, perhaps when you've made some big changes or you just put something in your agenda that every week you'll come and do some sort of test, all right? It's good practice. It's just a good habit to do. This is a health check, right? On your site performance. It's super, super important. Now, one of the things you can do here as well is sign up for free for alerts. Now, it's not going to alert you every minute to tell you what the speed of your site is, all right? But it will alert you if your site goes down. And previously, in the past, with sites hosted on other hosting companies, I've used services like this to get a feeling for how well they are managing my site. Now, Shopify servers should be excellent. You shouldn't have any problem. But there's absolutely no harm in signing up for this thing. And let's say you get something every day at some point or once a week or something that tells you your site's gone down. It'll tell you when your site's gone down and also tell you when your site's coming back up. And, that'll give you, after a month, that's going to give you a very nice feeling for exactly how well your site is performing. So there we go. A completely free tool, not an app, but super, super useful. Okay, so this next app is one of my favorites. It's called Lucky Orange, and it has nothing to do with luck, and it has nothing to do with oranges, all right? So I don't know why they came up with this name, but it's a brilliant piece of kit. So basically what it does is it's going to record the movements of your visitor on your site. So imagine you've got your site, somebody from Los Angeles or wherever comes to your site and moves around and clicks and does bits and pieces. You're going to be able to see that, okay, as a recording later on. Lucky Orange is going to record all of that, then you can go back and play it all back and see what they did. All right, so the importance of that is paramount because I can tell you over the years of doing mentoring, of doing site reviews, of answering thousands, literally thousands and thousands of questions. So often, one of the first questions is that I'm not making sales, or I'm not sure if there's a problem with my site and this kind of stuff. So we'll always do a test, a speed test, like I just showed you with Pingdom, and then I get them to install something like Lucky Orange. There's also Hotjar as well. That's another competitor which you might want to have a look at. Because what happens more often than you might expect is that when you watch what visitors do, often you can see pages loading really slowly. Often you can see perhaps that the customer is confused by the layout of your page. Often you can see that there's genuinely a problem. Something goes wrong. There might be the page is unavailable. Yeah. You can also see things like every time they get to the checkout, they're can't find the checkout button properly, or I don't know. There are so many possibilities, and the brilliantness of this fantastic app is it gets you to see all of that. Now, you're not just going to see it obviously with one recording. It's worth doing it several, keep it going for several days. You don't really need to do it continuously in my view, but certainly once you set your site up, get Lucky Orange installed and start watching how visitors perform on your site. And it will really give you a fantastic insight. Okay, so that's enough of that. I'm going to install it. Okay, so with this we get a genuine 7-day free trial. We get all the functionality, and then after 7 days we want to use it, we pay the nominal fee for it. So it wants me to choose a password, so let me just type in some sort of password here, and I'll click on save. Okay, so you're straight onto the dashboard. This is the general overview, the number of people that are currently looking at your site, some basic stats about page views and stuff. But the thing that you're going to be really interested in are the recordings. Okay, if I click on this at the moment, then obviously there's nothing there. But when you install this and people come to your site, this is going to build up a list. Okay, a list of recordings. And all you have to do is click play next to them, and you'll see exactly what your visitors are doing, how they're behaving on your site. So I really, really encourage you just to take use of the 7-day free trial. In any case, it costs you nothing. In 7 days, you'll also get a really nice feeling for what's going on and probably be able to fix some problems and stuff if there are any at all. And if at the end of that you decide to go for it, then yeah, it's another fee that you need to pay. But I do feel that this is a great tool to have in your arsenal of apps. Fantastic, guys. So we've installed our health checker apps, right? And it is so important to do this. This is what I consider to be the foundation stone of your site. And so many people don't even lay this foundation stone. They don't even think about it. They go off and they want to make beautiful looking store without really thinking about what they're actually building upon. So for me, these are kind of essential things to have in place. We've got a great backup, right? So we can sleep well. We've got SEO in place so that we can make sure that we're found within the search engines. We've got a site that's loading fast that we can check with Pingdom. And we've got Lucky Orange so we can see what our customers are doing and again make sure that our site is behaving as it should. Now, in the beginning of your store, when you've got very limited funds, okay, I understand that going after all of these apps is going to cost a lot of money and potentially not even a possibility, right? So let's step back from this, because as we go through these apps, you're going to see they cost this, they cost that, some of them are free, but if you had to add them all up, you get to a very significant monthly fee, and it could put you off the whole thing, right? That's not how I want you to approach this. What I want you to say to yourself is, okay, as my store grows, I will use some of the apps here that Tim is showing me, all right, and I will introduce them kind of when I can afford them, all right. So if we look at this now, this group of apps, certainly take Pingdom, right? That's free for sure. Take that. Now, if I was to choose one more, I would choose Lucky Orange, and I would take the 7-day free trial, okay? Take the 7-day free trial. Now you spent nothing. The third one I'd probably take then after that would be alt text, okay, just to get some SEO going. That's going to cost you $2 a month. Now, backup, as I said before, Shopify have, they've got brilliant backup systems in place. Trust me. So you could argue that the rewind system I introduced you to is a little bit of a luxury at this stage. And you could also argue that the SEO, going down the fancy SEO route, really building that out, is also not necessary at this stage. And that's a very, very strong argument. So I would say go with, initially, Pingdom. Okay, take the Lucky Orange 7-day free trial, take alt text for $2 if that's okay. And then once some sales start coming in, come back here, get rewind. And once you get more and more sales coming in, come in and get your plugin SEO or something similar. All right. So I hope that helps you. I hope that, prevents you from freaking out at the costs. And it's going to be a similar sort of thought process as we build out various other apps as I take you through the following lectures. Okay guys, welcome to a brand new section, and in this section we're going to look at apps that boost our productivity. All right, so things that can make us work as efficiently as possible. Now the first one we're going to look at is called Oberlo, and I talked about Oberlo in one of the previous lectures. I just introduced the concept briefly when we were looking at products, okay, because this app is totally focused on drop shipping. So if you're not drop shipping, this won't perhaps be of particular interest, but if you are drop shipping, this really is a great tool. Now what this does is it connects directly to a site called AliExpress. Okay, if I go over to AliExpress here, you may or may not be familiar with this, but it's a massive marketplace over in China that many people use for drop shipping. Now the Oberlo app will connect to AliExpress, all right? So you don't have to go to AliExpress anymore. And then point and click, you can import products directly from AliExpress into your store, right? So you can probably see how that's a super time saver. Also, when people buy from your store, Oberlo has the opportunity to allow you to actually automatically fulfill orders. It's not totally automatic, but it's an extremely good job. So let's get it installed and have a slightly closer look. All right, so the first thing you get when you install the app is this page. All right, so let's get started. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's get started. Now, create a Shopify store, done, all right, we've done that already, and connect your Shopify store, also got a tick, okay, so it's automatically connected Oberlo to our Shopify store. So the thing you want to be looking at straight away, okay, off of this dashboard are the products, okay, so if I go into search products, now what this page is doing is it's pulling products directly off of AliExpress. All right, all of these things are off of AliExpress. And what I can do if I wanted to say add this leather jacket zipper to my store, well, let's take this jacket for dogs here. That's more appropriate, right, for my store that I'm building out. I can add it to an import list. So just before I do that, I draw your attention to the search boxes up here. Obviously, I can search on certain keywords, I can search in categories, and I can show shipping prices to different countries. So for example, it's defaulting to France at the moment. But if I were to choose the United States, just for example, whoops, there we go. Okay, so now updates my shipping prices to dollars. So, as you look at these things, not only is it showing you the product, but it's also showing you things like whether e-packet's available, the typical shipping time, etc. All right, so it's very powerful. I'm not going to get into massive detail here. I'm trying to give you an idea of what this can do. But let's imagine we're going to take this here. So I'm going to add this to my import list, okay? Get a nice tick. It's done. Now I would go over to my import list here. And here it is, okay? And I get the opportunity now to change the name. I could associate it with a certain collection. Yeah, you remember my beds, my collars, my toys, my homepage as well. I could put it in one of those. I could choose certain types. I can add tags, and then basically I can click on this and it would push it to store. And it would show on my store straight away with all the pricing. So you can very easily see how quickly you can add products to your store from AliExpress using this system. Now I'm not going to go through the process of order fulfillment, but it's a similar sort of process. The orders will be alerted to you on the Oberlo app, and then it's point and click as well to actually fulfill those back on AliExpress. So it's all very clever, and if you are drop shipping, I 100% recommend this app to you. Okay, so every single business at some point is going to have to print an invoice, all right? And if you're shipping your own stuff, you're going to have to get labels together and packaging slips and all that kind of stuff and send it all out, either individually or in bulk. And this order printer app is great for solving those issues, speeding things up for you, allowing you to work more efficiently. And there's lots of these apps. Like many of these things I'm showing you, there's many different options. But I like this one in particular because it's developed by Shopify. And it's completely free. Now, Shopify make their money on this if you want to go ahead and actually customize a bit more the look and feel of your templates, all right? But we're not going to get into that now, and you probably won't need to get into it at all, especially in the beginning. But just know that if you want to do a particularly unique design, there is a team behind that you can contact that will enable you to do that. So let's get this app and just have a quick look and see what it looks like. So once it installs, it takes you, of course, to the app page itself, and it's going to show me my orders by default. All right, now I just made that one order, so not many orders, but that's enough to show you how this works. You'll get the idea very quickly. So if I click on my order, and what I have over here are two template options. If I click on invoice, straight away I get the invoice for that order, all beautifully laid out, fantastic. Everything is absolutely there, okay? Equally, if I take that off and I go to the packaging slip, it presents me with the packaging slip that I need. And of course I can print that out and I can buy postage and fulfill over here. Now I can, with both of these templates, edit them, and if I were to click on edit, it would take me to this. If you're not familiar with this kind of language, then it doesn't matter. But just know that this is where you would do the customization if you didn't want it to look like that, but look something a bit different. And as I said before, if you didn't have the skills, Shopify have a team behind them that will basically take care of this for you. So there we go. A very nice way of automatically generating invoices and packaging slips, and hopefully saving you an awful lot of time in the process. So this next app is called Printful, and again there are many of these, but it caters to a business model that is really quite popular because it's again a little bit like drop shipping in the sense that you don't need to handle any stock. So your start-off costs can be very low. But the principle is relatively straightforward, and often it relates to things like t-shirts. So over at Printful, they will have all of the t-shirts, all right, but they'll just be blank designs. Let's just imagine they're white t-shirts. And what you do is that you design what you want for that t-shirt, all right? So you might have a design on the front of the t-shirt that says, I don't know, Harley Davidsons are incredible or whatever it is, right? I just come off with anything off the top of my head there. But, anything you want to print on that t-shirt, okay? So you'll come up with a design. You'll then get a very nice image, which obviously you'll then put on your site, all right? And then somebody will come along and they'll see that. And when they buy it, when they purchase it, what happens is that order is immediately dispatched off to Printful, because they're the ones that are actually going to print it onto your t-shirt and dispatch it out themselves. Obviously, they're going to take a fee for that, but you can see how you're not holding any stock, right? You're not holding any t-shirts. You're just coming up with great designs, and then you're advertising those on your store in the normal way, and then somebody comes and buys, and you don't even ship it. Printful take care of the rest. So it's a very popular business model, and this app takes care of it for free, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not going to install this because if I do, what it will want me to do straight away is to create a Printful account, which is not something that's really necessary in this sort of course. But just be aware that Printful, if you're looking at doing a business model like this, is a really interesting solution. So as your business grows, you're going to get more and more customers, and you're going to be delivering out your packages through many different couriers. And the process of actually tracking everything does tend to get quite complicated. Now, each courier will have its own tracking system. That's typical. I think we've all seen that. But what happens is you'll get a customer, for example, who contacts you by email or calls you or whatever it is and says, where's my package? What do I need to do, etc. And then you have to figure out for that customer which courier they're using for that package, go into that site or go into their particular app, figure out what it is, and then get back to the customer and tell them what's going on. The other alternative, of course, is to give the customer a tracking number and let them do that themselves, which is also, I think, quite a nice solution. But sometimes customers just want you to kind of do everything. And if you're trying to go for ultimate customer service, which is, the best way to build up a fantastic business, then being able to sort of take care of all this stuff for them is brilliant. Now, Aftership effectively collates into one spot all of the different couriers that you might be using, so that you can just go to one place to look up and see where that package is. And not only that, it will also automatically notify the customer. No matter what courier you've used, it will notify the customer as to the whereabouts and the status of their package. So this is a free app to start with, okay? And as you deliver more and more packages, you're going to get into the paying models. But that's quite nice because it kind of grows with you. So I recommend this to people, obviously not for drop shipping, but if you're shipping your own products and you want to basically keep track of stuff very, very nicely and not have any problems with scalability as you develop more and more couriers sending your stuff. Aftership is a great solution for that and will grow with your business. So I'm not going to install this because much like the last one, it's going to ask me for some sort of an account to log in and set up the whole Aftership process, which is not the point of this course. But Aftership is a great product and solves a common problem extremely well. So in this next section, we're going to look at some customer service apps, some apps that can help us out with how we're going to serve our customers. Now, this is clearly a very, very important aspect of any business. But with e-commerce, we have a unique set of challenges because we don't have a store that's open at 9 and closed at 5. We don't have staff standing around on hand to ask questions, all that kind of stuff. We've got a store that's open 24/7 and it's globally available. So we have to approach this in a slightly different way. And in the beginning, we're looking for some efficient solutions. Now, I believe that the FAQ page is a very, very nice way of providing customer service. And often it gets a little bit overlooked. So the first thing I would say is that, you can create an FAQ page extremely easily just by going to Shopify, add page, and start sticking in your frequently asked questions. If you're new to the business, you won't have any perhaps. But after a very short period of time, a month, you're going to start seeing those questions that get asked all the time popping up. And you can start to build out an FAQ page. Now, it doesn't just act as a page where people can just go there and see those questions. It also gives a sense of your understanding of the business. When somebody comes there and they see that you can answer these questions with authority, they will respect you, they will realize that you're perhaps a business than they thought. They will come back to you. So all of that to say that you might want to jazz up your FAQ page a bit, make it look a little bit more engaging. Entirely up to you. But I'm going to install this app in any case. So I click on Get as usual. And then what I get is an editor, a specific editor for my FAQ page. And you can see I can sort of drag and drop stuff around here, right? I can create different questions. And if I move to the next page, then I can do all kinds of parameter settings here, separators, transitions, borders, shadows, all that kind of thing. You get the idea, right? So you can therefore create yourself perhaps a far more engaging FAQ page. As I said to you, it's entirely up to you. Now, these things normally are free for a few questions. Like say you add perhaps 5, it'll be free. And then after that, they'll ask a small fee, all right? Should you want to move to 10 questions or 15 questions or 20 or whatever it might be. So entirely up to you. Purpose of this lecture is just to make you aware that these kinds of solutions are out there, just yet another form of plugin. As I said before, you can create a great FAQ page through Shopify without necessarily needing to do this. So whatever you decide, please, the main takeaway from this lecture is that whatever you do, please, please, please create a great looking FAQ page that really caters to your customers. So taking a step up on our whole customer service solution is that we could offer live chat on our site, all right? And there's no question that this is proven to work extremely well. I'm sure you've been on sites that when you go to the site, something pops up and says, "Hi, I'm, Fred or whatever. How can I help you?" This kind of stuff. It's extremely engaging, and as a customer, it gives us a real sense of security and belonging, if you like. All right, perhaps it's going a little bit too far, but at least we know that there's somebody behind it. I'm not talking about those awful bots, by the way, that when you type in a question, it basically is unable to interpret it and just keeps on saying things like, "Sorry, I don't understand you," or giving something completely irrelevant. I'm not talking about that. We've got to have somebody who is actually a real person behind to answer the questions. And in fact, that leads into very nicely the problems, if you like, with the live chat. It's all very well. It's all very easy to install something on your site, but you've got to have somebody behind there to answer those questions. They need to be there and they need to be knowledgeable and they need to answer quickly. All right. So that's potentially a big ask, particularly in the beginning. All right. But this is definitely something you should consider. Depending on where you are in the life cycle of your business, it might be something right now or it might be something in the future. But I'd just like to sort of seed this in your brain, right? As something that could be very, very nice for you potentially down the road. So a lot of these chat services will pop up a typical question at the beginning, how can I help you, etc. But some of the more advanced ones, like this one I'm showing you here, Tidio Live Chat, what's cool about it is that you can actually trigger certain chat boxes based on events. So say, for example, the customer was having a problem at the checkout, or they arrived on a page, a not found page or something like that. You can set that within this app to send up specific questions. So if you think about the checkout example there, it would say, I can see you're having a problem at the checkout. How can I help you? Yeah, that is very, very powerful stuff. So definitely worth considering. So let's just take a slightly deeper dive into this and just install it. So once you install it, you get this dashboard, all right? I'm not going to go into massive detail, but you can see basically if I were to go down through all this sort of thing, I can see the visitors, I can set up people to answer my calls, I can set up those events I was just talking about, etc., etc. So if you feel that you're in the right place right now for an app like this, and as ever, there are many other ones, then by all means, go ahead and install this. Check it out. It may well transform your business. So the purpose of this lecture is to give you an idea of the range of apps available on Shopify. This short section here on customer service, I started off with the FAQ stuff, which is basically free. I took you through a live chat solution, which is going to cost you a few dollars. And at the other end of the scale, we have a call center, a full-blown call center that we could install as an app into our Shopify store. Now, it costs $250 a month, but depending on where you are with your business, that might be incredible value. If you're starting off, obviously, that's definitely not going to be of any interest whatsoever. So I just want to make you aware that some of the solutions in the Shopify store are absolutely amazing and can cater to all kinds of levels of business. So I'm not going to install this. It's more just to make you aware that these kinds of solutions are indeed possible. Okay, so now we're going to spend a bit of time looking at some apps that we might want to apply to the product page. And ultimately what we're trying to do here is get people to convert, right? Now, there is a danger, I'm just going to have a little warning sign right here, is that one of the things you do not want to do is to overdo it with apps. I'm going to show you a few here. And if you smother your product page or indeed your site with all kinds of pop-up type apps, you're going to put the customer off. It's a massive sign of desperation in my view. So you need to use them sparingly, you need to use them intelligently. In fact, you need to test them, you need to see which one works best for you. So I'm going to introduce you to some great apps, and it's up to you to decide how you want to use them and when you want to use them. So the first one we're looking at here is called Hurify. I've always quite liked the name, and it's this is not rocket science. It's basically a timer that you put on your product page, and it's going to count down. And when it's finished counting down to 0, it's going to restart, all right? And it's going to say things like, so much time left or so much stock left, this kind of stuff. It's just a classic, very simple pressure sales technique that's been around for absolutely ever. Now, I'm not going to install this. It's really not worth it. You're not really going to gain an awful lot from it. It's very simple to install. There's a 2-day free trial, but you do have to enter your credit card details. You can cancel before the 2 days. Otherwise, you'll be billed $6.99 a month, all right? Now, these things, as I said just before, they need to be tested, all right? You need to do split testing on stuff like this to see if it really does have an effect on your sales. But just to give you an idea of how it would look on the store, there's one screenshot here in particular, which I think really illustrates everything. And that's this one here, yeah? You've got the option to say how many people are watching it, how many people are sold in the last hour, how many have been sold in total, how much time is left, some sort of announcement here. I mean, you get the idea very, very quickly, right? Putting pressure on somebody before the time, even if it's not a real time, and you might have an ethical issue with that, that's entirely up to you. But it is a classic technique. It's been used forever, and it will be used forever and ever to come. So the next one I want to show you, which is very, very popular, is the free shipping bar. Okay, now this will apply to you if you're charging for shipping, because what it does is it basically puts up a bar in the top of the site and says something like, free shipping on orders over $50, just for example. And then as the customer adds stuff to the cart, that text is dynamic. So let's say they add in a $20 item. It'll say something like, you're only $30 away from free shipping. So it's enticing the customer to put a few more things in the cart. So it's a very nice, gentle sales technique, right? It's extremely easy to set up and configure, and you can do all stuff like change colors and change fonts and what have you. But basically, it's going to sit up there in the top of your site and sort of tempt the customer to put more stuff into their cart in order to get free shipping. In this lecture, we're going to look at product reviews app, of course. Now, in my view, this is essential. Absolutely, 100%. You need product reviews, okay? Because product reviews are so important when it comes to converting a customer. Put yourself in the customer's shoes when you go to buy something. These days, you'll almost certainly look for a product review, some sort of testimonial. You might do research. You want to get feedback from what other people thought about the products. So having product reviews on your site, showing them and also giving the customer the ability to make a review is very, very important, all right? So I've chosen this one here because it's free. It's a Shopify product. I've used it in the past. It's great. So I'm going to download it, okay, and we'll have a look at it in a bit more detail. So when this app installs, first of all, we have to go through a few steps to actually set it up. And it's one of the reasons why I want to take this one a little bit further, because this can happen when you set up apps. What you might need to do is a few steps that aren't simply just point and click. It involves a few more processes, all right? But they are still very, very straightforward. I want to give you the confidence and show you how easy it is, in fact, to do, because you might be looking at that now and thinking, oh my goodness, what is all of that, right? So just follow my lead. I'm going to show you how this works and how simple this is, in fact, to install. So what we have to do, first of all, is to copy this code here to the clipboard, okay? I could click on that link down below there, or I could just highlight it, right mouse click, and click on copy, all right? Now I've got that now copied. The next thing I need to do is to paste the reviews code snippet into my theme. Okay, so if I'm back here on Dogodora here on my Brooklyn theme that we installed, and I click on customize. Okay, now what it says, if we just go back, is it wants me to open my sections product theme.liquid. If I click on that, it will do it automatically, but I just want to show you where it is. So basically what it is it's up here in this more actions, edit code, all right? This is where you're going to find all this stuff. And again, you don't have to worry about it. It's just there. And if I scroll down a bit and I go to sections and I scroll down a little bit further, I will find the product template liquid file. So I click on that and all kinds of amazing stuff pops up, right? So what we need to do is to make sure we put it in the right place. So if we go back here, it's telling us nice and clearly where this should go, okay? It's got, what we're looking for here is div class equals description. We're looking for this bit of code, and then we're going to paste the code snippet here, so directly underneath, okay? So we're looking for that. So let's go back. And as we scroll down, we will eventually come to that product description bit. So all the way down here, and it's here, all right? Product.description. See that? So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a bit of space and then just do a Control V and copy that in there, right? We're going to paste it in there, excuse me. So the only thing you need to do now is to save it, of course. So if we save it, now let's go back to the instructions, and there is an optional step here, which I'll just leave to one side. But the thing that we want to do, most of all, is to verify that code snippet is working. So we're just going to click on Verify and Continue. And it says it's successfully installed, okay? So I hope you've seen that while you've probably been looking at a lot of stuff that you don't understand any of it, and that's absolutely fine, that's not your domain at all, that in fact, just following the instructions to the letter and just staying calm is actually very, very simple to install apps when they want you to install them in this way. I mean, you've already seen that apps install in all kinds of different ways, right? In the way that they present themselves after the installation procedure. But should you have to do a bit of copy paste of code, it's always going to be at about that kind of level. It's really not so bad. So now, of course, we want to see what it actually looks like on the site. So let's click on this, see it in action on your website. And we come to this page here. Now, if I scroll down, we've got a whole new section, customer reviews. No reviews yet, write a review. Okay, so I could write a review on this. So I put in my name, put in my email. I give it a rating. It's a great product. Great product. You must buy this. Okay, and then scroll down and I'm going to submit it. All right, so that review has now been submitted. Thank you for submitting a review. Okay, it's not going to immediately pop up because we then go back to our Shopify admin area, and the app is going to provide us with an area where we can see reviews. We might want to delete them, right? We might not want to accept them, and there might be bad reviews or just pure spam. It could be anything like that. So let's go back over to the app admin area and see how that's going to look. All right, so back in all amongst the apps here, if I click on product reviews down the bottom, and we come to this page, which is going to enable me to manage my review. So we see the review that I just put in, right? Nice and simple. If I click on it, I can basically add a reply if I want to. I could say something like, so glad you enjoyed the product, or whatever. And if I wanted to unpublish it, if I didn't want it to show on the site, I would just click on unpublish. And if I wanted to get rid of it completely, I could just delete it. Okay, so very, very simple to manage. Now you can do exactly the same thing here from these two buttons, and you see across the top here they are filtered, organized by unpublished, published, flagged and spam. So this is a very, very nice system. If I just take each of the settings at the top here just to complete this lecture. So you have the ability to auto publish, right? You can basically, it's all to do with spam, because unfortunately when you put something like that on your site, you are going to attract spammers. So often, even with a really good spam filter on some of these things, you may want to disable that and to check each one before you actually approve it to go to your site. But anyway, that's up to you. You'll figure that out as you go along. Then the rest of it really is just details. You know, you can receive an email when the review is submitted, and there's a whole load of stuff that you can do with colors and text and layout and stuff. As I scroll down here, you get a pretty good idea. All right. So that's basically it for that particular app. I mean, what I really want you to take away from this, that even if you don't use this particular app, because again, there are plenty for product reviews, please just make sure that you take product reviews very seriously and that you have that available on your site. It really will make a big, big difference to your sales and conversions. Okay, so this next one is really a very, very simple concept. We're talking about a bar. Quick announcement bar in this case, that's going to sit across the top of your site. All right. Sometimes you get this inside themes already. You may not even need to install anything, but the idea is very basic. Yeah, you've got a bar across the top of the site, which is obviously customizable in terms of its fonts and its colors and all that kind of good stuff. And you can write whatever you might want to put in there. You might want to say, 10% off all dog products until midnight, or Valentine's Day specials coming soon, or whatever it might be as you build out the business. It's a nice way to make announcements on your site without being really in the face of the potential customer. So again, super simple to install. I'm not going to go through that process by any stretch. So if you feel that that's a good addition to your site, and I would say generally speaking it is. Don't overdo it, as I said before, but generally speaking, it is a good idea. So I would, encourage you to download this, install it, and have a little play around. Okay, I think it goes without saying that to give your customers some sort of ability to share your site, share your products on social media is very, very important, all right? Now, we already have, in fact, and it all depends on the theme, but if we go back to our theme here and click on Customize, and then come to the general settings, we do actually have a social media section here, okay, which pops up on our various products, and we can put in all of our Facebook and all of our various Twitter accounts here to enable people to actually join us on our page, right, so that they stay connected with us. So that's one thing. But the other thing, of course, is you want people to share your products on their profiles, hopefully. All right, so this will do that. I'm not going to go through the process of installing this because I think it's obvious what it's going to do and the benefits it's going to bring. But suffices to say, you do need some sort of social sharing procedure on your site. And this is a nice app to get started. Handing out coupons that offer discounts at some point in time is a fantastic way, of course, of building sales and loyalty within your store. The process has been around for absolutely years, and we've all been exposed to it, either in e-commerce or perhaps in a more traditional bricks and mortar store. We're all very familiar with those concepts, right? And I've already looked at the Shopify discount process that comes with Shopify Standard, if you like, where you can offer a discount at the checkout itself. But there are many apps as well that can offer this kind of coupon discount process. And one I particularly like is called Better Coupon Box. And the principle is very, very straightforward, right? Somebody comes to the site and they are exposed to a pop-up, and that pop-up is going to offer them a discount on the store, some sort of coupon, which obviously you're going to set. But in order to get that coupon, in order to get that discount, they'll be asked either for their email or to follow you on one of your social media channels. Okay, it's entirely up to you how you set that. So it's twofold in many ways. Basically, first of all, you're offering a discount, which is fantastic. That's going to bring them back to the store at some point, hopefully, right? So they can use that discount and buy one of your products, because they may well have left the store otherwise without buying anything at all. And secondly, you've either got a follow on a social media channel, which is great, or even better, you've got an email. And with emails, you can do all kinds of amazing stuff with email marketing, which is not part of this course, but email marketing is huge. So if you can grab their email over their social media click, I would try to focus on that. But either way, it's a fantastic way of building loyalty to your customers, bringing them back to the store by offering discounts, and building up a following on social media and within your email. So let's get it installed and have a very quick look. It's a very simple process, which I'm sure you'll grasp very, very quickly. Okay, so this is what it looks like once you've installed the app. And you can see basically the first thing you want to do is to create your coupon box, all right? So there'll be a subject. So I'll just click on suggest me a good one, all right? We've got a sweet discount offer just for you. A message, let's take that one as well, the one they offer. Subscribe, email, or follow to get a sweet discount code on your order. Now, the coupon code itself, you will actually create within your Shopify store in the way that I showed you before. So if we click on this, then this is where we create the discount code. Yeah, you remember several lectures back I talked about how to create discount codes. So here we are. So let's call the discount code autumn sale, just for the sake of it, and we'll offer a 25% discount. All right, and we'll just click on save discount at the bottom. All right, so that's all done. Now when we go back to here, what I want to do now is put in my coupon code, right? Autumn sale. So that it all syncs up. I'm sure you get the idea quite easily. Now then, what I want to do now is click on continue. So here I get the option to put in my various social networks that I want the person to follow, all right? So let's just imagine, just for the sake of argument, I put in Dogodora2 as my Facebook page, all right? Then I click and continue to last step. Obviously, I'd fill all of those in if I had them. And then I want to say whether I'm going to collect emails or not, right? And as I said before, I really believe that you should be collecting emails wherever you possibly can. So now I click on save. And now what I can do is I can review live on my store, but I'm just going to come away from that for the moment and go to the display options. All right, because this is the last part that's important. I'm just going to click this away here. So this is where you decide where you're going to show it, which is extremely cool, right? So you could, for example, show it as they exit your site, smart on exit intent, right? Here they say automatically on the first page by default, but maybe on the second page, or only show when their customers click a get discount button, all right? Which I'm not going to get into, but that's another option. So you can see it's extremely powerful. You can even decide which customers you want to show it to. You know, you can show it to all customers, you can show it to new customers only, or returning customers. So that's a very quick tour, but I'm sure it has whetted your appetite. I'm sure it's made you realize what you can do with Better Coupon Box or a similar product. Now, the timing of it and where you put it, in my view, is very important. You don't want to just smother your site, as I said before, with all kinds of pop-ups and what have you. So you need to experiment with this thing. You need to find out where the best place to put it. Maybe the best place is when they exit from the site. Maybe the best place is on the second page. But probably where it isn't best, for example, is if you're doing Facebook advertising and you're bringing somebody to a product page. You don't want to just, put up straight away some sort of discount code offer, because they may well be willing to pay full price and go through the process, all right? And at that point, you're going to get their email address and the full sale. So you need to play around with it a little bit. Don't just use it blindly. Step back and think about the best possible ways. Anyway, there we go. That's a fantastic app, Better Coupon Box. I strongly advise you to install it or something similar. So this is another great app which I quite like, but again, not something you want to overdo. But you may have been exposed to this on various e-commerce stores. And the idea is that as you're browsing around, you get these little pop-ups. Let me just scroll down and I'm going to enlarge this screenshot. And you might say, aha, I've seen that. But basically, imagine this is the store here. Someone in San Francisco purchased a men dry stretch long sleeves sweatshirt, for example. Okay, so the idea is you're cruising around the site and these little notifications are popping up. And it's giving a sense of, many people on the site, social proof. It's drawing you into the store. It's giving you confidence that this is a good place to shop. Yeah, it's playing on the psychology, effectively, of the potential customer. All right, so it's a very nice little app. It's a free one again. So let's just get it and let's have a little bit more of a look at it behind the scenes. All right, so it's pretty cool. Once you've installed it, what it does is actually syncs with your store and produces notifications for you. Now, I've only got a small store here, but you can see that straight away, I haven't done anything here, that it's given me the opportunity to show up my squeaky toy. Someone in Paris, France just bought this squeaky toy, right? Its status is on, it's synced, the date it was created, etc. All right, now, I can also, of course, create my own custom notifications. So here I could put in whatever I wanted to for a particular product, all right, and create new. So I have full control over the system. The other thing I can do, which is quite cool, is if you go to the settings, then you see you can play around with the message. So maybe not just someone bought, but you could write something else should you choose. There are various themes should you might want to match that better to your store. And all kinds of display options as to when it's displayed, how long it's displayed for, and where it's displayed on your site. So a great little tool, great little app, fun to play around with. And yes, it definitely has been proven to convert customers. But as I keep on saying, don't overdo it with these kinds of apps. But adding trust seals to your site is a great way to build customer confidence. Now, you can actually add this in for free. You can go and find various trust seals, if you like, out there on the web, and you can basically add them to the bottom of your page into the footer of your Shopify store. Okay, you could do that for free. All right, but this is an app that would also do that. Now, it has a free part, but it also has a paying part. So let's just get this and have a closer look at what it actually offers. So once you install it, you get this screen, which basically says that your current plan is the starter plan, all right? And the starter plan is completely free, okay, which is quite nice. Free forever, but you are limited to the number of page views, okay? If I draw your attention just down to this bit here, it's 1,000 a month, which is not a huge number, right? We're talking about sort of 30 a day. So you may well be forced into the paying plans before you know it, which you may find to be way too expensive. But that's entirely up to you. But let me just show you what it looks like on the site. So if I go over to this page here, just one of my beds, you can see here, down the bottom here, that we've got some nice seals, right? I hope you can see that. And as I'm moving over them, it's giving confidence to the customer. So satisfaction guaranteed, all right? Guarantees a full 30-day refund. This padlock for the SSL certificate. We talked about SSL before. Where I am based, which is also quite nice. I'm not based in Atlanta, Georgia. Remember, I just put in some random address. Secure infrastructure. It gives, and the PCI compliance, it gives a sense of trust, which is what it's all about. Now, again, you'll want to sort of play around with these things. Don't just blindly accept that somehow it's going to do an amazing job on your store and suddenly start converting loads of customers. You can do sort of split testing with this kind of thing as well. You can, for example, bring customers to your store for a week for one particular product, and then you could add these trust seals as a part of a test, which is what I would do. Add them as part of a test, and then for the next week, see whether you actually convert more people. See whether there really is a significant difference, because if there is, then suddenly those paying plans start to look a lot more attractive. So there we go. That's trust seals. I would recommend in whatever way you do, you try to add trust seals somewhere on your site. Okay guys, I really hope you found that tour through a few of the apps that you can add to your product pages extremely useful. You can see how some of them can be incredibly powerful. But as I said before, don't overdo it. Okay, I know I've said that a few times now. And the other thing is, don't just blindly accept that they're going to work just because you've installed them. Okay, do some form of testing, whatever it might be. Take some time, because you'll learn an awful lot in the process. So I really strongly encourage you to do that. So there we go. That's the end of that section. Now we're going to have a look at some apps that are going to help us once we get that customer to the checkout. So we've had a look at some fantastic apps for our product page, which is ultimately designed, of course, to get people to put stuff into the cart. And once they've got it into the cart, they will hopefully head to the checkout. Now, in a real world scenario, let's say in a real store scenario, I should say, when you go there and you buy stuff, by the time you get to the checkout, you're pretty much done. Yeah, you're going to go through the checkout, you're going to pay, and you're going to go home. It's very, very unlikely you're going to get to the checkout in a real store and decide you don't want any of the stuff and just leave, right? And just literally abandon your cart and off you go. That's very, very unlikely to happen. But in e-commerce, it's exactly the opposite. Yeah, and in fact, as I've quoted before many times, over 2/3 of people, by the time they get to the checkout, will abandon their cart. They will not go through and pay you. All right, so this is a big problem, if you like, of which an industry has grown up around trying to solve it for you. And there are many, many ways to do this. So what we're looking at here is one possible solution, and one I rather like, and it's called Checkout Boost. And the principle is, it's rather nice. The idea is that when the person gets to the checkout, okay, and they're sort of hovering around, trying to decide whether they're going to pay or not, we hit them with some kind of last-minute tempting offer to push them over that final hurdle. And there's various things we can do here, and we'll have a look a bit more detail in a moment, but there's various things that we can do. So for example, we could put a countdown timer on, basically saying, if you pay, in the next minute, I will give you 10% off, right? That could be one. Or I will give you some sort of discount code for stuff in the future. So you can already see how we might be pushing somebody in that manner, yeah? We could also say something like, if you pay now, I'll give you a nice free product. Like, say, for example, they'd put the dog bed into the cart, they're about to buy it. We could offer them the collar for free, yeah, just to kind of push them over the finishing line. Gently, of course, right? We don't want a sense of desperation here. We're trying to sort of coach them gently over the finishing line and get them to our cart. So this can be very, very effective. I mean, official stats will probably be something like 50%, I would imagine. Sometimes it's quoted as more than that, but my feeling is it's more like 50%, more like half the people will actually go through and convert. So point being, it's really, really worth looking at. So let's delve into it in a bit more detail and get this thing installed. Okay, so the first thing we get presented with on this app are their various packages. Okay, so we got the starter, we got the Ninja, and we got the Pro. And if you look at them, it's really all to do with the number of offers that you can make, right? So if you could imagine, it's basically the number of times that app is going to be able to pop up on your site in order to tempt that customer over the finishing line, as I described before. And the Ninja package, the most expensive one, you won't be surprised to know, has unlimited, and the others are limited in some form or another. But in any case, all three of them have a 15-day free trial, so you may as well just go for it anyway and see whether it works for you. Okay, so I signed up for the 15-day free trial, and it brings me straight to the dashboard. Right now, I'm not going to show you everything here, but I do want to talk about the offers, because that's kind of what we've been talking about up to this point. So if I click on offers, then your offers will appear here. But what I really want to show you here to make it more obvious is to click on add offer up here. And this is where you get the three different types of offers. All right. So you got the countdown offer, you got the just take it offer, and you got the share to get offer. So in the simplest of terms, the countdown offer is kind of saying, okay, if you check out within a certain period of time, we will give you something, right? We might give you a free gift. We might give you discount on the amount that's in your cart. We might give you free shipping. We're incentivizing them. We're trying to push them gently over the finishing line. The just take it offer is kind of similar, but without that countdown aspect, right? You're basically saying, okay, check out now. and I'll give you this, right? So perhaps a little bit more aggressive, but that's generally the principle of the just take it offer. And the share to get offer is basically saying, okay, you've got your cart in front of you now. If you share it on one of your social networks, which is obviously advantageous to us as the merchant, right? Because that will go onto one of their social networks, their friends will see it, and we hopefully get that social effect and bring more people to the store. So if you do that, I will give you something. Similar process, right? Prior to checking out, or perhaps after they check out. So I hope you see, right, this very high level view of this product, but I hope you see already that there's enormously powerful and in fact a lot of fun to play around with. And if you get this right, there is no question that you will convert way more people at that crucial checkout moment. Okay, so two classic, very well established marketing techniques are the upsell and the cross-sell. So the upsell, typically you're offering some sort of upgrade, and the cross-sell, you're selling a related product to what the customer is currently thinking of buying. So yeah, two established techniques, as I say. I'm not going to go into the detail of how that works, but there's certainly an art to it. And to be honest, this doesn't, exclusively apply to the checkout. You can apply this anywhere on your site. But, I put it in this section. I felt it sits here quite well. So let's install this thing and have a very quick look at how it works, just to give you a good idea. Okay, so with this one we get this screen, and it's from the same company, so they offer this similar starter, ninja and pro type packages. And if you look down at what's on offer, let me just try to put that all on one screen for you. Up like that. Basically, what you're getting with the more expensive packages is a more intelligent service. It kind of learns a little bit from what the customer is doing based on their past histories and that kind of stuff. All right, so anyway, same deal. You may as well just take the 15-day free trial just to see what it gives you. So I'm going to take the 15-day free trial for the Ninja, and I'll see you on the other side. So the first thing you get here is a dashboard with your various reports, right? Pretty basic stuff. And let me just show you the upsell and the cross-sell functionality in here. So if I click on upsell, and then for example, just click on add your first custom upsell. Okay, so we get a very nice little point and click system here for the upsell. And if I just scroll down here a bit, you get the offer name, etc., and your motivation. But if I just put it like this, these three things really, I think, tell the story very, very quickly if you're unfamiliar with this kind of process. So what we're saying is when your customer adds a certain item to the cart, which you will choose from your drop-down menu, it could be any product or a specific one or whatever, then you will offer this product. This is what this part is here, and there'll be some sort of message. Okay, so I hope you grasp that concept quickly. If I scroll down here, it gives you visually, which says everything really, what you're going to expect. So you just added such and such to the cart, all right? Frequently bought with this dress. So see this? This is the upsell. Here's the dress, and here's the additional upgrade or additional thing that goes with that. So we got the leather brown handbag in this case, which is another $19. And all we have to do, or all the customer has to do, is click add to cart to get that. All right. So you can see the power of it. You've almost certainly been exposed to this as a customer yourself at some point, either online or offline. If we go to the cross-sell, for this one, what we have is the offer name again. Then we got select products to make a package that can be bought together. All right, so we're doing a cross-sell. We're saying, okay, here's your product, and here are some other products, right, which you would be interested in, but they are different types of products. All right, again, a message. And this is what they will see this time, okay? Frequently bought together. So this is the cross-sell. So here in their example, they got a very nice 3 products that they would buy. A you save $65. I hope you can see that total price add to the cart. So again, I hope you grasp that quickly, and I hope you see the power of the upsell and the cross-sell, and you realize why they are so used and why they are so well established. So spend time playing around with that. It's actually quite fun to put all this kind of stuff together. And as I say, definitely take a moment to look at other apps and see which one you prefer the best. Okay, so this is quite a cool little app called Exit Offers. And the idea here is that somebody's got something in their cart, and then they go to leave your site, all right, in one way or another. And at that point, you are going to show them some sort of offer, all right? Maybe a discount in price, maybe a free shipping, all that kind of stuff. Of course, you can set yourself. But of course, the idea is to push them over the finishing line, just like with all of these apps, to bring them in at that last minute. So, you might have had a product on there for $30, and as they move to leave the site, you offer it at 25, which could well be now within their price range. Who knows? Or it might just be enough to push them to make that purchase. Maybe they were going to make it at 30, but now they're definitely going to make it at 25. But, you've got the sale. So again, a fun one to play around with, easy to install. I'm not going to go into the details of this one. You grasp this one super easily, I know. Go in and play around with that. As I say, I know I'm repeating myself here, but please don't just smother your store with all these apps that I'm looking at. Come up with some kind of plan and test them carefully. See which ones you prefer. See which ones suit your store, right? It suits almost your personality in some ways. If you're going for a more aggressive technique, you might want to use this. Others will look at this and think, no, that's not really for me. I don't like that. Okay, so entirely up to you. It's all very subjective. Anyway, enjoy using this app, and I hope that it brings you more sales. Okay, so I wanted to show you this one because when we were looking at the Shopify plans, one of the things that was included with the Shopify version of the plan was a fraud filter, all right, built in, and I showed you how that worked in previous lectures. But because this kind of applies to the checkout, really, this is the point where, if somebody's actually putting in their credit card details, this is the point where you'd be most concerned about fraud. But so what I wanted to show you was that, there is a free app available here, developed by Shopify, that you can install that doesn't do exactly the same as I showed you before, but it does similar stuff. It gives you the opportunity, the power to prevent fraud at the checkout. So go ahead and install this. You'll see how it works. Again, I'm not going to go into details on this one, but just to let you know that fraud filter apps and others, of course, are available. So please have a good look at that if you haven't already got it offered with your Shopify plan.